the Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Wild try and jab it in front. Around the net comes Boldy. Boldy whipped one off Nelson. Nelson gathers, spikes it ahead, and it's in. Brock Nelson gets his first of the playoffs. 2 empty netters, and the score will not be indicative of how this one played out tonight.
That's a wrap in game number 4. The Wild lose to the Colorado Avalanche. 5-2 is the final. Brock Nelson ices it with a second empty net goal. Wild lose the hockey game, and they are pushed to the brink of elimination. Mr. Pat Micheletti, welcome to Wild Fanline. Real quick, just a reminder, 800-320-5326. You can text us, 64686. Use that talkback feature. It's so cool. It's easy to use, and it gets your voice on the air. Love to use those talkbacks on the free iHeartRadio app. Patrick, you've been chomping at the bit, and I know you wanted to talk for a long, long time. The floor is all yours. Wild are down 3-1 in the series.
Well, I was on this morning with our good friend P8, and he asked me what I thought some of the keys would be in the game tonight, and I really thought that whoever came out and dictated it from the beginning of the game, and take that momentum, because these games are a game of momentum, and once you lose that, it's hard to get back. And I thought Colorado, from the get-go, was just the faster team, the better team, the team that was more hungry, and they just stifled Minnesota. And, I think the shots were 17-4 at one point.
Yep.
And in a side note, Jesper Wallstedt was fabulous tonight. He was fabulous tonight in goal for Minnesota. And so they just couldn't get going. And it's not so much about Minnesota not trying. Colorado wouldn't let them. Colorado was they were on their game tonight, and they knew they were down, a couple D, and they had some young kids that were in there, Jackashan being one, and, he played pretty well, for, it might be his first playoff game.
I believe it was.
Yeah. And so, I think it was ingrained in the forwards of Colorado. You guys got to be really, really good tonight, and they were. They were, and that was a difference in the game for me.
You mentioned Jesper Wallstedt. Mackenzie Blackwood, I thought, got better as the game went along, especially in that third period.
Made some couple good saves.
I would have loved to see him have a lot more work, especially early on in that hockey game. But like you said, the Avalanche were so good, and the Wild just couldn't get within arm's reach of them.
No, and it was frustrating because Minnesota couldn't get anything going on the line rushes, and then when they dumped the puck in, it was way too easy for Colorado to get the puck out of the zone. It was just, kind of dump it in and get off, or dump it in and one guy, or that first forward being late, or not necessarily being late, but, not given a chance to get in and get the forecheck going. And, when you allow a team like Colorado to get the puck in one pass and out of the zone, it's going to be tough, and that's the way it was, pretty much all night. Other than the Sturm goal they got going, what a play by Quinn Hughes, by the way.
Yep.
But Quinn Hughes and Brock Faber can't play the whole game, which is unfortunate because there were some mistakes made that on the Kelly goal, that puck's got to be out of the zone, Middleton. It has to be out of the zone. And then they got out-muscled on the boards, lost the battle, and Drury makes a pass over to Kelly, and it's in the back of the net. And you can't give up goals like that. And against a great team like Colorado.
We got texts, we got talkbacks, we have calls. Let's jump to a couple of texts. You're texting us at 64686. This one from the 612 area code says, absolutely gutless performance by Boldy, Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and Hartman. Big knockers didn't show up and played with apathy. Third and fourth lines played hard. Wally was great. Two top lines let him down, didn't battle at all. Disappointing. That's a text, not from me. That's from a text. So take out your anger at the 612 area code. Your response to that?
Well, listen, I think Colorado did a great job. I mean, the neutral zone tonight, there was nothing, and you can say, well, these guys, didn't have the performance that the texter liked. I don't think anyone did, but I'm giving Colorado a hell of a lot of credit for the way they defended and they're just their tenacity, and they had the puck the majority of the night.
From the 952 area code, Guerin did not get a number one center at the trade deadline. Then they lose Eric Sinek, and Brodin is out as well. Season over. The loss of Eric Sinek, the loss of Jonas Brodin, obviously that's huge. Everyone gets injuries, right? I mean, Dallas had a ton of injuries in the first round. There's no question. When you lose two guys of that magnitude, it's really any team is going to be affected by that, and Minnesota is. That being said, I'm not going to call this series over. You forget this game and you move on to the next game, and you try to beat them, and so it's not done until you win four. Every game's a 1-game series. And, it's going to be awfully difficult to win 3 in a row. Don't get me wrong by any stretch, but you can't look at it winning 3 in a row. You have to look at it winning 1 in a row. You got to win one. Then you got to win another, and then you got to win another.
And then and if you win that next one, okay, well, then you maybe get the momentum back a little bit. You come home, and then you win again, and then you force a Game 7. And, we've seen it before. It's very difficult, no question about it. But you got to keep playing, and these guys believe that they can do it. So let's see what the game plan is for Wednesday night.
Jared and Corey, hang on. We'll be right with you there on Wild Fanline. There's a couple of more texts here at the 64686. One of the talking points, and they just brought it up to John Hines there in the post-game comments, the butt end by Manson. I want to get your opinion on that, but the texter from the 612 area code says, Pat, after the 4-minute penalty, why did nobody get retribution for the cheap shot? Coaches, captains, etc. It says, I would have just waited for him to drop his head and blasted him legally. Unbelievable. They say they're huge fans. There's 16 of them that watched tonight and now are listening to Wild Fanline.
I don't disagree. I think there is that you got to send a message back, and even if you get a penalty, and I say that because they were getting outplayed and they were getting outworked, and they needed something to change the complexity of the game. And listen, I would have ran Taves and Makar all night too, because they were so shorthanded. And Makar, he played 26 minutes tonight, but he played a really careful 26 minutes tonight. And you got to take advantage of that a little bit, and you have to send a message, I think, a little bit. And I agree with the texter there, no question. You got to go after him.
They ended up scoring on the double minor. I just can't believe it was a double. I can't believe he stayed in the hockey game. I'm with McCarron. I'm glad he did, because I don't think, I'd rather have him in there doing dumb things. Unfortunately, he only did the one dumb thing, but it was pretty egregious what he did. It was like a pool cue to the side of McCarron's ear hole.
It was brutal, and I don't know the rule. If that, I don't know if.
Well, I think they could have called the major. I don't know. I don't know how they didn't. It was like Wemby last night. It was obviously thought through. He had the opportunity. I can either do this or not do it. And he said he decided to do it. Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know how they interpret how they called it, but it was brutal. It was brutal. It was cheap. It was you don't do that. You want to fight a guy, you fight a guy. But you don't, when both guys are down like that and you take a shot, that's, They
had McCarron. I don't know if you heard it. It was definitely on social media.
I saw that.
McCarron was on In the Intermission with PK Subban on ESPN, and they actually asked him about it.
But it looked like you took a butt end to the jugular there. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how are you feeling now?
Yeah. I mean, you played against Josh. He's a dirty player. He's always been. Surprised he got away with only a 4-minute. I'm happy he's still in the game.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah. That's from the mouth of Michael McCarron.
And good for him.
On ESPN.
Yeah. But you know what? Called him out. Should have done something about it.
Yeah. Well, he did try to line him up a couple of times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Or someone else should have.
Yeah.
I mean, because how many minutes did, let me check here, Kevin. Yeah, Manson he played 14 minutes, which, is the norm for that set of D, I guess. But, yeah, you had your chances.
To the phone lines we go, calling in on Wild Fanline. Corey from Shoreview. Welcome to Wild Fanline. I'm Kevin Falness. That's Pat Micheletti. Good evening, my friend.
Hey, Kevin. Pat.
Hi, Corey.
Zach, go Mustangs over the Bears. This is probably more for Pat, but
yep.
How are we getting away with 5 left-handed sticks on our first-line power play? How do we not have a right-handed stick, at least on that first-line power play? What are we doing?
Well, they're probably at least 4 of the 5 are your best players. I put Faber in that category. I don't know why Brock is not on that first power play, especially the way it's going. Mm-hmm. At least, you can get it to him. He's got a pretty good shot, and he has the ability to get the puck to the net, as you saw in the Urov goal. So I've been waiting for a while for them to make that change, and they have not. Maybe because he's running that second unit, but I wish he was on there. Yeah.
Thank you for the call,
Thanks.
Corey. From the 218 area code, not happy with Matt Boldy. Says did he dress for the Colorado series? He's been missing in action. Tonight he was awful. So many terrible turnovers. What'd you see from Matt Boldy and his struggles potentially for tonight?
I think he got a little bit frustrated, and I think it was tough for him. And, if you noticed, every time he was carrying the puck, he didn't have... I don't know where his other 2 line mates were, and they weren't in sync, and then so he gets a puck and he tries to do it by himself, and when there's 2 or 3 Colorado Avalanche players there, it's more likely going to turn into a turnover, and so they have to find a way to get him free, and whether that's sneaking him out with Kaprizov, mixing those lines a little bit in terms of, and you can do it in game, right? You can do it and put guys back, but whenever you get an opportunity to have Kaprizov and Boldy on the ice together, I would do that. I would, because he's dangerous, and I don't think he's getting the help that he needs. I mean, there's not many players in the National Hockey League who can do it by themselves. McKinnon being one, in my opinion, and McDavid, that can just do it. And I don't think Matt Boldy's at that stature yet in terms, and he's a winger too, and both those guys are centers and, different type of players. But, Boldy needs someone to, get him in spots and then let him do his stuff. And that hasn't happened in this series.
Saw this one a couple of times. This one from Leon Musk guy. Why call that last time out when Colorado's dragging after just icing the puck? Was that a poor decision to give them a chance to catch their breath?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see how long those guys were out on the ice. Number one, that's a good point. I can't comment because I don't know how long they were out there before that icing occurred.
Yeah.
And, maybe, and a lot of it's strategy, what they want to do in the draw. That stuff should be known. So it was probably to give them a breather, and, that's the way it is.
Back to the phone lines we go. Let's go to Jared in Fargo. Jared, thank you for calling. Wild Fan Line, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Kevin and Pat.
Hi, Jared.
Number one, I was super on the train to get Vinny Trocheck at the deadline, but I'm super glad that we kept Wallstead. He has been a stud. Secondly, with home ice advantage, it was unbelievable to me how often Necas, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Makar were out there with 5 and 24 on the ice. I know they were doing it on the fly, but it was unbelievable how often Colorado was driving that matchup, and they controlled the tempo every single time.
Yeah.
So I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Jared.
No, I concur. I think Bednar did a masterful job of coaching tonight, and what he put in and what he saw that happened in Game 3, right? Game 3?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, I give a lot of credit. Listen, you got to give credit where credit and due, and Colorado was just the better team tonight.
What'd you see on the eventual game winner? Nico Sturm scores to tie the game at 2 on a wonderful setup by Quinn Hughes, like we just talked about. Does a great job keeping it in the zone, feeds him on the one-timer. 2-2 at the 9:15 mark. At the 11:32 mark, Kelly scores the eventual game winner. Where was the breakdown there? You said it was Middleton, not Clarendon?
No, that was the middle. The Kelly, that was on the Kelly goal. But I didn't see who was on the sideboards there. Minnesota had a chance to get the puck out of the zone. They did not, and then they got. I mean, it was chaos then, right?
Yeah.
And Colton was there, all alone on the weak side, and so call it out of position, call it chaos, call it whatever. Puck should have been out of the zone before that, and two softies there that really hurt Minnesota.
It's too bad, and it does take away from a wonderful effort by Jesper Wallstedt.
Oh my gosh,
one of the heroes of this game.
He was,
because without him, you're in a whole heap of trouble.
Oh, but did he make some unbelievable saves? Didn't give up, and on the Kadri goal, right, which was a power play goal. I think it was Foligno who went down and blocked the shot. And the fortunate bounce goes right back to Kadri.
Yeah.
And there's nothing Wallstedt could do on that. So that was an unfortunate one. But again, hardworking Colorado team gets it done.
Yeah, and Wallstedt was great in Game 3 as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, a lot will be made of the fact that Wallstedt didn't get the start in Game 2,
yeah.
But in hindsight, does it look like that was a good call? Because he didn't look, I know that you said he didn't look bad in Game 1, but he ended up giving up 8 goals.
Yeah.
And I think that
maybe
mentally
that was
he
just
probably
a time.
needed a rest.
Could have been a time, sure. Could have been a time.
He's been sharp ever since.
Oh, my gosh, yes. And it was a gamble, and you would hope that Gustafsson would have, steal one for you, and get him to feel good. But it did. That game didn't work out, and it was in that game, Kevin, I thought was a real gettable game. It just seems to me like after you win one, that next one, you're more prepared, you're more focused, you want to come out, and I thought Minnesota did in that game too, and. I didn't like the three of the 4 goals that they gave up in that game.
Yep.
And you just cannot do that against a team like Colorado.
And that's, again, Gustafsson was probably rusty in that hockey game.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a rusty Mackenzie Blackwood, and I don't think for the first 40 minutes...
We didn't give him a chance.
They didn't give him enough to think about.
No.
They made it... I don't want to say they made it easy on him, but I mean, at one point,
yes.
they were stuck on 5 shots through about midway through this hockey game.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
No, I think they were 17-4 at one point I saw, and then we got that one shot by Yurov on the power play, which was right in the right in the belly of Blackwood. But that was it. And that power play, you think about they didn't generate any shots on the power play at all tonight. You try to get too cute, too fancy, and Colorado sniffed that out and pressured them. And, it was just, trying to make that pretty play instead of just hammering it and try to create some chaos and get to the front of the net and get, because Blackwood, there was a couple instances in the game. He lost his stick there. He ended up making a great save when he lost his stick, but there was not enough of that chaos going on in front of them tonight.
If you want to join us, we got about, 5-10 minutes we'll go here. If you want to join us, KFAN.com/watch. Got a comment up here on the screen. Boldy has oddly gone away from driving the net and shooting the puck and is now past first perimeter, at least in this series. Do you see that, Patrick? That's from Travis on the...
Say that again?
KFAN.com/watch. Says Boldy has gone away from driving the net and he's become more of a perimeter player, at least in this series. I don't know if that's the case. I think they're eliminating him more than anything.
I wouldn't characterize it as that because... when he's got the puck, he's trying to make a play 1-on-3. So you pick your poison where you're going to go and try to get through. And so it makes it hard when it's one guy trying to drive that offense. And, he needs help from his other two guys. And quite frankly, he's not getting it. And it's, I'm not going to go the excuse meter. It would be different with Eck. Well, it would be different with Eck, right? And that's been a problem.
Let's see. From the 612 area code, this team has currently constructed has reached their peak. Something has to change if they want to beat the Dallases, the Colorados, etc. of this league. What needs to change to get them over the peak?
They're the second, third best team in the National Hockey League.
For almost the entire season. Outside of October.
And even hey, listen, we're all disappointed with the loss tonight. It ended up 5-2, 2 empty net goals. They could go to Colorado and win. I mean, they torched Colorado. What are we saying about Colorado in the 5-1 loss, right?
Yeah, right?
I mean, what does Colorado have to do to, get to that? Have they reached their peak? It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's one game. It's disappointing. They're down 3-1 in the series. Let's see what happens Wednesday night. They're going to be a different team on Wednesday night. I'm not going to say that they're going to win, but they're going to give. They're going to be better than they were tonight. They'll make the adjustments that they have to make. Is it enough? I don't know, but I don't think. Maybe I'm not understanding the question correctly. What do they need to do to get to the Cup? Well,
man, it's too bad. Russo was on with Barrero earlier today, and he was making the point that you win this game, you get past this series, which, ifs and buts, candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas.
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot in that statement, but Colorado's the Goliath. You look at what is left with Anaheim and Vegas.
Right.
And even over there in the Eastern Conference, I know Carolina's a very good team, but they didn't have to beat Dallas, Colorado, or Minnesota to most likely get to the Stanley Cup, or at least the Eastern Conference final.
Let's pretend for a second that this is Dallas radio, and that question came up, and I would say not a lot, because Dallas had a good enough team to get to the Stanley Cup final this year. Wouldn't you concur with that?
Yes.
I mean, they are one good team, and they should still be playing, but the playoff format is what it is. And so I guess not a lot. If what do they have? What does Minnesota have to do? Not a lot.
Tinker with the roster, and that's something that do Bill
every
Gary
year.
Enjoys doing. Yeah. So we'll see what they do.
When
you talk about the core, then I think you're about to talk about Kaprizov, Boldy, Hughes, Faber, a healthy Eck, a healthy Brodin. You got Jesper Wallstedt now.
And guess what? You know what? It was really, really unfortunate, and we haven't even brought it up, Kevin. Charlie Stramel might be in this lineup.
That's a good point.
Would be in this lineup if he hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah.
And, unfortunately broke a bone.
He'd at least be available, and you could. You would have saw him down the stretch of the regular season.
I'll make a hot take. He would be your second or third line center in this playoffs.
Ballsy.
Yep.
But you'd know better than I would.
I really believe that.
Okay.
And guess what? He'd be out on that second power play or, taking draws, because he did not lose a draw last year in college hockey.
Yep.
Now, a little different, right? But still, he's a horse.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see him in the future, for sure. Unfortunately, it is not this year. A couple more here to close before we get you ready for the top of the hour and make our way towards Game 5, again with the season on the line from the 218 area code. Patrick, people need to believe. I'm just looking forward to winning the next 3 consecutive games. #MuteTV. If you had to choose from the 952 area code, if you had to choose one thing from tonight's game that the Wild did that will be a positive factor in next game, what would that be? Think about it for a second. My thought would be Jesper Wallstedt always gives you a chance.
You got it. You hit it right on the head. Hit it out of the park, Kevin, because he was great. And if your goalie is the confidence that he has, he can steal one. He can steal one for you. I know you're not counting this team out. I'm not counting this team out. Listen, again, who's going to dictate the game from the beginning? And Colorado made Minnesota chase them a little bit tonight. That happens. And once they get that ball rolling, it's hard to stop. And just like Minnesota did to them in Game 3, Colorado was frustrated. They did, what I said, Minnesota did to Colorado, what Colorado did to Minnesota in Game 2.
Yeah.
Minnesota did to Colorado, played the Colorado game in Game 3, and Colorado was very frustrated that whole game. They could not get it going. And, so they come out tonight and they dictated from the start, and Minnesota was chasing, and Colorado dictated the game. And, you give them credit. That's all.
One more here from the 763 area code says, hope remains, smiley face emoji, I still have faith. Heart emoji.
Why
give
not?
us some reason to have faith then for Wednesday night.
Because they're a really good team. And you know what? They're not going to be happy about it. They believe in their team, and they know they have the ability to do it. It's not like, we should put Colorado on this huge pedestal. They are a great team. But guess what? Minnesota is a really, really good team also. And so, let's see how it plays out. It's tough. It's hard. You got to climb a little hill here, but I don't necessarily think the series is over yet.
I hope you're right, because it was so much fun. And even when it was, the Wild were all played for a good chunk of this hockey game. But at one point in the third period, it was tied at 2.
It was. And,
it was only for a moment of time.
How was it tied? And that's what you need. You keep it close, and you can get, look at, I go back to the Montreal when they won Game 7. They had 9 shots on goal.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be pretty, but you just have to find a way. And so, hopefully tomorrow, they will go through a new game plan, and we'll see what happens on. It's hard to win at home too. There's a lot of pressure at winning at home.
It was a lot of fun though Saturday night.
And remember, it's always hard to close out a series. It is always hard to close out a series.
Listen, the Wild have rallied back from the 3-1 deficit, and when again, people get sick of going back to 2003.
Let's do it.
But when they did it in 2003, they did it against a much, I don't know if I'd say a much more talented team, but
a talented team
with a much less talented Minnesota team.
Yeah.
Forsberg, Sakic, Waugh.
Yeah. Much more talented. Yeah.
Well, McKinnon and Makar are making a name for themselves as well. They didn't have the goaltending.
Yeah, but we have stars. No,
that's my point. Yes, 100%.
Right.
They did it in 2003. That was David versus Goliath. Yep. This is 2 Goliaths going toe-to-toe, and right now the Avalanche have the upper hand. Let's see what happens come Wednesday night and beyond. Patrick, I hope we have much more opportunities to do this as the postseason rolls forward. Hopefully Wednesday's not the last hurrah.
No.
I don't know if we're doing an extended pregame. I don't know if we're doing Wild Fanline.
We don't know what we're doing.
But when we find out,
but we show up.
We'll tell everyone else, and we'll do it. We'll crack the mic, and we'll have some fun with it.
Thanks, Kevin.
There he is, Pat Micheletti. Thanks to him. Thanks to Halvey for doing a great job. KFAN.com/watch. Max Fuller back at the KFAN studios. Always ready. When his phone rings, he picks it up eventually. Or if you text him, he'll respond eventually. But Max Fuller always doing a great job for you, the listening public. Unfortunately, the Wild came up short tonight. They ended up losing the hockey game 5-2, and they're down 3-1 in the series. But never fear. There's going to be another game. Tomorrow the sun will rise, and they will be ready for game number 5. Hopefully you will be as well. I don't know if there's an extended pregame, but I do know pregame at 6:45 coming your way Wednesday night. Puck drops just after 7 o'clock from Ball Arena. The real fans of hockey and the Minnesota Wild will do what God intended, and hashtag MuteTV. Listen to Joe O'Donnell and Tom Reed for all the play-by-play action. For everybody over on this side of the river, thanks for listening. Go Wild, and
for an extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.